Hold on, Eric, hold on.
Yeah.
It'll there's a lag, so just
Okay.
give me a sec. I'll chat you.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. I know you all have other places that you could be, so we appreciate you spending your time with us. I'm going to make a couple of announcements and then I'll hand it over to tonight's speaker. I'm Eric Franca, the head of admissions at Promotable. Promotable, we are a workforce accelerator that empowers and prepares professionals for high growth careers in the digital economy with courses in data analytics, Python programming, and product. We do this through events like tonight's, where we invite practitioners from industry leading companies. In addition, we host a series of workshops and classes. All of our classes are designed for working professionals, taught by practitioners like tonight's speakers, and only 5 hours per week. Our upcoming classes are in August and September, so definitely check us out. The data analytics course, if you want to level up your data skills, it starts at the end of August. The class is designed for analysts, managers, and anyone else who wants to level up their data skills. You don't need to have a data analytics or coding background. This hands-on course, you'll learn the skills that you need to turn data into insights to solve business problems. You'll also confidently learn to navigate and manipulate large data sets, use technologies like SQL and Tableau to visualize and communicate your insights to stakeholders with powerful dashboards. Again, it's 5 hours a week for 8 weeks, and you can obviously attend live online. Let's see here. Perfect. And then definitely check us out on social media. We have a large Slack community of over 8,000 members. You'll all receive an invitation to the Slack community when you connect. And you can talk to other people about other business practices, talk about stuff and share resumes, all that kind of stuff in there. Definitely subscribe to our LinkedIn as well and follow our LinkedIn and our YouTube. And then we have the standard usual Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that stuff. And thanks again for joining for tonight's event. And we just got a quick video and then we'll jump over to the speaker soon.
Analytics play a crucial part in today's business world. People that have data skills have the best chance of career success. At Promotable, we help professionals take their careers to the next level. From analytics basics to more advanced tools such as SQL, Tableau, and Python. Promotable utilizes industry experts who focus on teaching in-demand skills that empower career opportunities, providing flexible class schedules to working professionals with the affordable training they need. Invest in your career and become promotable. Promotable, data-driven career development. www.promotable.io.
Awesome. And so, yeah, today's speaker, we have Jade Haas. She's a former senior financial analyst for Hyatt, and it's hospitality analytics case study. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it over to Jade here.
Okay, hi you guys. Thank you for attending the presentation today. So my name is Jade. My background has been in the hospitality industry. I graduated with a degree in hospitality management from Cornell. And then ever since I've been in the hotel industry for about 10 years now. My experience has been in hotel specifically. And I worked in an economy hotel chain for about 3.5 years. And then I moved on to Hyatt, which is a global hotel chain based here in Chicago. So first of all, I'll talk about hotel industry. So in the slide over here, you probably wonder why I put a pineapple over here. This is the fun fact. The icon for the hospitality industry is actually the pineapple, which is the item you see very often in the very hospitable tourist destinations like Hawaii. So anyways, let's get back to the hotel industry specifically. In terms of data, we have some industry research data firms, which is Smith Travel Research. Then they produce a report named STAR report, which is a benchmarking report. And we have other firms like Travel Click, which will tell, for example, the GDS system, how many people book and at which rate. And then we have the CBRE hotels, which is a segment of CBRE that focus on collecting hotel data and producing the quarter end, year-end report, and also forecast for the industry. So talking about the hotel industry specifically, our major key metrics would be the occupancy. Occupancy is the number of rooms sold divided by the total inventory. So specifically, if you have 100 hotels rooms, most of the time they do not sell 100 total. They would sell something like 99, and then they have one extra room over there in the inventory, but not for sale. And then if out of 99 hotels rooms in the inventory, they sell 33, then you can imagine we have roughly about 33% occupancy. So ADR is the average daily rate that we monitor on a daily basis. The reason being is that you can imagine different day during the week, there will be a different rate. Let's say tomorrow is Super Bowl. The rate for a hotel room tomorrow versus the same day last week be completely different. So in order to get the rate for the month of July, we normally take all the revenue and then divide it by the number of sold room in order to get the ADR and get a sense of how much money per room that each hotel generates. And then RevPAR, so we scale the revenue down on the per available room basis. RevPAR stands for revenue per available room. You will see this kind of metrics, these kind of metrics on a lot of industry report, on investment analysis, acquisition development, and also on the company HEC report for the hotel industry. For example, for Hyatt, for Hilton, for Marriott, you will see these kind of metrics. So let's talk about specifically in terms of hotel room inventory data. So we collect data into 2 different systems. I call it before and after. So when you make a reservation, your reservation data typically will go to the central reservation system. So each operator will have their own central reservation system. So the system is being updated on a daily basis, and they have multiple channels reported into the central reservation system so that any particular hotel personnel can come in and say, hey, I can take a look and see how many rooms currently we have on the book for, let's say, September this year. So we have different channels and we have different type of rooms. So electric rooming list in generally is the list of all the rooms that are being booked electronically in a bulk of multiple rooms. Besides that, the industry will basically segment the rooms that have been sold into 3 different buckets. We have group, we have contract, and we have transient. Transient basically are rooms that are sold for individual people or less than 5 people. Groups are basically rooms that are sold basically for a large block. For example, for a wedding, for weddings that people want to stay, the bride and groom normally get a block of the floor, basically block out for the guests. Or if you work for, let's say, a corporation like IBM, a McKinsey, like Deloitte, we normally, each hotel company have an account with those corporations, and then we sell for them for a way discounted rate for multiple rooms on a daily basis. And then we also have contract rooms. Contract rooms are basically mainly for airline crews to stay overnight, and they normally have a really cheap rate as well. So those are the kind of data in the central reservation system that are being updated on a daily basis. And then property management system, PMS. Those are the systems that are being updated throughout the days as we have guests check in and check out. So in the PMS system, there are a lot of different kind of data being updated daily throughout the day. But I'm going to focus on room inventory, which we have a vacant room, vacant clean, vacant dirty, or we can have occupied room, or we can have room out of service. This is in the cycle. So a room always started as a vacant clean status. And then once a guest check in, the status of the room is occupied. And then it moved to vacant dirty once the guests check out. The housekeeper has not cleaned the room yet. So after being cleaned, the room will be put back in the status of vacant clean. So if the room has an issue that would cause it to be out of service for a long time, for example, a guest party too hard and probably break something in the room, we put the room back into different status. We call it out of service. It could happen and could last anywhere between 1 day to several months until the room being fixed. So as you can see over here, based on different room types, it will give us different kind of actions that the hotel can do. So they can take a look at the number of vacant clean and vacant dirty in order to schedule housekeeper based on the shift. How many housekeepers they should get in the morning, and how many of them should be scheduled, for example, on a Monday. Typically for the industry, we have really high occupancy from midweek until the end of Saturday, and people check out mostly Sunday morning. So by the evening of Sunday, we will have a lot of rooms in vacant dirty status. And at the same time, we have to be mindful not to schedule so many housekeepers. There's that kind of thing where the data analysis came in order for the workforce manager to schedule housekeepers, and in order to optimize the schedule and minimize the housekeeper costs on the profit side. Next one is hotel room reservations. You may be aware of some of the channels, like going to the hotel.com or going to the hotel mobile app. But then again, we have a lot more channels. Let's say internal channels at Hyatt or many other hotels company. We consider the hotelcompany.com, like Hyatt.com, Marriott.com. These are internal channels, same as the mobile app. And then we also have something like group contract. For example, if there's a convention here in Chicago and they book like 300 rooms for a discounted rate, those are groups that are being sold, being contacted by a salesperson within Hyatt. And then we have hotel direct. So for example, if I cannot find a hotel rooms for a good rate in Chicago, maybe something is wrong with the website, we could call the hotel directly, or we can email the reservation or email the front desk of the hotels. So those are internal channels. Next one will be external channels. So we have we have GDS, we have OPEC, and we have wholesales. GDS basically is, let's say you work with a travel agent, and the travel agent will be booking via GDS, where they can book a lot of different hotel companies, different offers. So the GDS system is like a global system where all the reservation can be booked via. And then next one will be OPEC. This is where a lot of data comes in as well, and it's a lot of fun. Particularly, we used to have a chief information officer of Hyatt, the former one. It used to be the one that found orbits.com, which is a fun fact. So we call it OPEC because beside the kind of room where you can book at a certain rate, and let's say the website gets certain percentage, there are different ways of selling via those websites where the website can get a bulk of hotel for a certain rate, and then you come in and then you bid your maximum price you can pay, and the hotel will give you a given room that you cannot see the name, which is very typical when you book at hotwire.com. if you say you want to book in Chicago for tomorrow at maximum $90, Hotwire will give you a whole bunch of hotels, and then the best deal will have no hotel name on there. So that's opaque. And if you book over there, you pay $90. But in fact, Hotwire.com probably got that hotel room from Hyatt for, let's say, $40, and they profit the difference between $90 and $40, which is $50. And then next one, we have wholesales, which is we sell hotel by bulk, like 100 rooms, 200 rooms for many different wholesale websites. Like the example here will be hotelbest.com. This is really good for hotels that basically do not want to have a very sophisticated rate system and want to sell as many rooms as possible and have the occupancy up to 90-95%. They can use this wholesale channel. However, wholesale is where the rate will be the cheapest. And then in terms of data collected, so here's where I need to basically remind you that it really depends on the hotel company, and you need to take a look at the find line when you book a reservation. But typically, when you book a room, you will have we will collect those kind of data like the number of rooms booked, the room type, the guest name and contact info. We have date of arrival, departure, or even time you think you would be arriving. The payment methods, like for example, they will keep your credit card number, to make sure that you actually showed up. You don't show up, the hotel normally charge you for 1 or 2 nights. And then we collect other things like reservation channel. Like for example, where the bookings been made, is that by internal channel or external channel. And the booking contact information, for example, if you book with the travel agencies, or the room preference data. Like, for example, if you have been staying with Marriott for a long time, you always prefer a king room with a city view far away from elevators. So those kind of data that we collect and we keep it in our system. And we spread it into different departments that can use data for different purposes, like loyalty, like marketing, like sales, like profitability and finance. And then, of course, data over here, one of the very most important data we collect is in order to get the loyalty information and in order to move you into a different buckets in our loyalty program. So in terms of check in and out, when you check in and out, the front desk normally work with a property management system, and at the site, the user interface is usually via some kind of screen, the touch screen. We usually use company like Microsystem. Those are the company that provide this kind of hardware and then software to connect to the PMS system. So every time you check in, we have a thing we call a guest folio, which is like a portfolio of information regarding a guest staying in a particular room. So a guest folio will match the central reservation system data with the property management system data. We will be matching the incurred revenue on premise to the guest folio. For example, if you go to a restaurant, and then a lot of times you don't have to pay at the restaurant, you can just have to say your room number is 125, and then you sign on a check. Those kind of revenue incurred will be booked into the guest folio, so that when you check out, you'll pay everything at once instead of having to pay multiple times. So the reason innovations in terms of data and check in and out, so we have a very timely guest survey. So a while ago, the industry has a very long post-stay survey where you answer like 30 questions, right? But nowadays we move from 30 questions into basically like 5 questions. And instead of waiting until you check out to answer the question, we ask you after you got into the room, we ask you immediately. So those kind of guest survey data is something that is very important. And also it help out with the hotel industry with what we call heat mapping, the problem rooms, and also heat mapping customer satisfaction, in order to get any particular corrective action immediately before the guests check out and go to, let's say, TripAdvisor and gives the hotel the very low rating. Next one will be keyless entry. So the trend in the industry nowadays is that you can use a cell phone in order to basically scan your smartphone at the key at the door in order to get in. You normally will have some kind of barcode or QR code, and then you can use that on the door, and the door will open automatically. And the next thing will be virtual check-in and check-out. So nowadays, very rare that you have to be actually in the line or check out or even check in. Most of the check out nowadays, in the morning before the check out time, you can get an email from the hotel asking if you want to check out virtually. You check on that, and you do all the checkout process on the website or on a mobile app, and then you can just walk out with your suitcase. Very simple. But those kind of data that we collect from a PMS system will be feeding those kind of new innovation. For example, like timely guest survey will only be sent after your status has been checked in. Keyless entry will get the information from a central reservation system in order to give you the room exactly how you want it to be. A king room, city view, and far away from elevator. And the virtual checkout will be based on what time you think you will be checking out. Are you checking out early, or are you checking out late, based on the central reservation system data as well. In terms of digital and e-commerce, I would say that we are very heavily involved in innovating in the e-commerce space for the industry. However, we always have leader and followers. So usually anything new in terms of reservation online will be coming from a large hotel company like Hilton and Marriott, and then any other hotels company in the industry, we follow suit. So in terms of reservation options and technologies, I'm going to talk about the distribution channels, the search engine optimization, and then even things like social media. So distribution channels used to be very simple. You either book directly with the hotel, or you book with a travel agency. That was like 30, 40 years ago. But nowadays, you can book with a website, book mobile app, you can book with OPEC third-party website, so on and so forth. And then you can even make a reservation using the search engine based on, let's say, if you want to say Atlanta, November 25th, you enter into Google, and Google will show you the whole bunch of different options in terms of hotels. And then recently, the data in social media also help us to discover a new channel of selling, which is WeChat, which is the messenger system very popular in China. And then we do also have hotel room sale via Instagram as well. So what happens is that when people were talking about traveling, sometimes there will be a recommendation that's coming out of the chat, say in order to recommend you and give you the deal for booking the destination that you're talking about. Or we can use influencer as well. So, and then next thing will be in terms of digital innovation using data, will be upselling. So we do have people in the AI and BI department, basically focusing on writing algorithm in order to predict which customer will be upgrading their room. Let's say, for example, you book a king room, the lowest rate. We can use algorithm in order to predict how likely is that with the additional $100 in rate, you will upgrade the room into a junior suite. That is based on existing reservation information, and also based on your past stays with the hotel chains as well. That, and then we also have cross-selling. which based on the data as well. It's mostly for sales and marketing for other revenue sources beside hotel room. For example, we use cross-selling in restaurant, spa, casino, and golf. Example would be, for example, you check in, the hotel will give you a coupon, 20% off a restaurant, or some kind of coupon like $50 to spend at the casino of the hotels. So those are the cost selling that we basically use the data. Eventually, we come back and then we link that with the promotion. So that will be digital data. So now talk about human resources, which is not exactly on my strength right here because I don't work for human resources. But like any other industry, we have data collection and we use data in recruitment. Very popular would be screening. So auto screen resume, for example, and then populate all kind of the applications for potential candidates. And next thing will be employer records. Employer records. So what we do collect, and I myself, I used to do analysis on turnover. I can tell you that in the industry, just like any other industry out there, we collect the time being employed, and then we collect the departure reason during the exit interview. We collect other data, especially the health insurance claims, because that eventually will come back and impact the profitability. And then we also collect things like workers' compensation as well. That and I remember a while ago we used the data turnover data in order to find out, for example, that we realized that we have issue with retention for millennials, and we realized that baby boomers and millennials have a completely different criteria when they're talking about a perfect job, a dream job, and what motivates them to stay with the job or leaving the job. And we had a campaign in order to, based on those turnover data, in order to try to increase the retention of employees company-wide. Next one will be customer satisfaction. Not just the hospitality industry, but I also asked my friends in other industry, and we realized that we use Medallia data mostly in order to have a gauge of customer satisfaction. We have Medallia surveys sending out to customers after they stay, and we ask them a lot of questions. Like I said, pretty much like somewhere between 20 and 30 questions. But the very long, we have very low response rate, like 15 to 20%. For some hotels, we basically on a monthly basis, maybe we're lucky we have back 20 responded back. And then, so Medallia survey will give us multiple data to answer the question. For example, are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How do you rate your experience with check-in or check-out? And in Medallia, the major metric will be promoter score, which is, let's say, how likely you are going to recommend this particular hotel to someone else. So that's the key metric for customer satisfaction. We also have things like mystery shoppers. So the industry normally would go to a third party and then hire them to go to franchise hotels in order to stay a few nights and then answer all the questions, making sure that the brand standard is being maintained throughout. And then we also got the data by doing data extract directly from TripAdvisor. So if you remember, if you go on a TripAdvisor and you judge a hotel based on how many stars, that 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, we do get that data by hiring a third party in order to do the data extract and get that data back to corporate on a monthly basis. And by doing that at the corporate level, we can roll up the data and see which hotel in which regions is having a decline in terms of star rating. And the next one will be also very interesting is the data that we collect in terms of commentary. So we partner with some third-party companies in order to do text analysis. Text analysis basically would take a look at all the comments that you have on TripAdvisor and figure out two different kind of emotion, a negative emotion and then a positive emotion based on the type of adjective or verb that you put in your commentary. So a lot of hotels will base on those kind of text analysis in order to see what is the most common issues. For example, when we do the data extract for a particular hotel, we see that the most repeated common talk about bathroom and with a negative emotion, then that's where we figure out why the star rating is low for the recent one, and then where they need to focus on in order to increase the star rating. So those kind of data is readily available, and it's really interesting you take a look at. Then next one, in terms of finance and accounting. So I would say compared to a lot of industry, finance and accounting data lags behind a lot. In the major companies that we work at, my friend and I were talking about the system that we use. We basically use very common system. For example, the IBM Cognos, Hyperion Essbase. We use SAP. In terms of Hyperion, a lot of companies are moving from the regular Hyperion, which is desktop-based with a fixed server, physical server, to a cloud-based Hyperion with data pool. Supposedly is better. And then we do have general ledger, account payable, account receivable system at the property that we update data on a daily basis. And then at the end of the month, we collect actual data, which is the revenue and the expense incurred as a hotel, and we have forecasts. And then typically the data will be collected at the property level and then streamlined into a management company level. And then the next line will be operators, owners, and franchise corporations. So those typically go to the enterprise data warehouse on a monthly basis in order to do a P&L analysis. Financial data store in the enterprise data warehouse, typically being accessed via some kind of BI suite or spreadsheet add-in, such as Essbase, such as Cloud-based by Google, or another. There's another tool out there. I think it's SAP. Yeah, SAP. And then the data connection. Recently, in the past 5 years, we started focusing a lot on data visualization using Alteryx and using Tableau. So the reason why we using those kind of tools is because number one, it's really difficult to run multiple lines of costs because different costs have one cost coding numbers, and then it's impossible to run 30,000 expense on a monthly basis using Excel. It's very troublesome. It takes a long time to load in any particular model. So we currently using either Alteryx in order to pull the data and then get Alteryx to prepare data and then move to visualization and dashboard in Tableau. All right, so next one. So I have two examples to talk to you about how we are using the data in order to have some action. Okay, so example number one will be a situation where the PMS data reported at property A showing that room 320 has been in the out of service status for 15 days, while the property runs 100% occupancy at $150 per day rate. So you can see that this particular room not being sold is resulting in a possible loss of revenue. And we also have the Another room 220 being vacant dirty status every night when the housekeeping reported, while the housekeeping department reported that room clean. So we found out that this may be an issue with frauds at the front desk level, where basically the front desk might get cash or get check in, but they don't change the PMS to show that the room has been cleaned. That's why the front desk can collect the cash. So this is the fraud at the property level. Those are basically the kind of PMS data at a corporate level that we can use in order to do fraud analysis, room status analysis, inventory trending. In terms of housekeeper commentaries, so when you check out, we have housekeeper commentaries that basically enter the comment on the reason why the room is out of service. So I worked at this project before. I did analysis of all the commentary by front desk and by housekeeper for all the rooms in the particular region of my former employers. And we found out that we have a particular hotels where we have a bedbug outbreak. So that is where the data come in. We analyze the text, which is the comment, and figure out the text that has been repeated the most, which is bedbugs, or the name of the or the housekeeper enter the name of the company that may fix it into the text. So bottom line, we use text analysis in order to see the comment and to do the action regarding that. We also benchmark the percentage of vacant dirty, meaning rooms that are not clean yet, at a property A versus a sister property in the same city in order to optimize our housekeeping productivities. For example, make sure that all the housekeepings are being scheduled at X hours a week, and more of them being scheduled on Sunday night and Monday morning. Example number 2. So this is a very recent kind of thing that we worked on, which is the situation where we have a promotion that allows $50 credit per reservations. So the central reservation system data showing an increased amount of room revenue, a declined revenue upon checkout, and a shorter length of stay. So we found out based on the data that we extract from central reservation system and the PMS, and we found out that many guests share the same last name, and reservations with the same last name are being booked in consecutive dates. So those kind of data basically give us an idea that maybe something weird is going on. We look into that, and we found out that because the property credit promotion is based on the reservation, so a family is breaking the reservation into multiple reservations. So a mother, a dad, and then the children will be in 3 consecutive reservations. That's how they are getting not $50 property credit, but $150 to $200 property credit. So that is how the revenue upon checkout is so low, because instead of having a promotion of only $50, we are having a $200. So sometimes it results in a net loss in revenue at the hotels. So once we found out the issue of multiple guest name and consecutive reservations days, we came into the conclusion of the possible abuse of promotions. The action that we ended up taking was we enforce the minimum length of stay, which is 2 or 3 nights, depending on the hotels. And we changed the promotion term from per reservation to basically per guest. And after that, and then we basically talk to the travel agency in order to tell them to verbally warn guests that did that in the past, not repeat that in the future. So those kind of examples show you that basically by extracting data at the corporate level or at the regional level, we have a lot of insight regarding how a property is being managed, what kind of guests we're serving, and the profitability of the hotel. All right, so I think I've been talking a lot. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw in. I'll be happy to answer.
Awesome. Thank you, Jade. Appreciate that. Yeah, we got a couple questions here for you. Steve asked if you could just quickly elaborate on the dynamic pricing of room rates. Like, does the CRS automatically query the occupancy at any given moment to determine the available room rate at that moment?
Yes, we can do that. So in the revenue management department in the company, we using very old technology. We run a query. We run a SQL query. We see the exact time right now. How many rooms have been booked for tomorrow, and then what kind of room type and what kind of rate. We do have that. In terms of occupancy and dynamic pricing, the central reservation system does not automatically do any kind of dynamic pricing. Typically, the room rate for the industry has already been set and set a year in advance, because we base everything on a calendar basis, on a special holidays. So we don't typically change a lot. The only dynamic pricing that I could imagine you probably are talking about is when we wholesale the rooms to a particular partner, for example, Hotel Tonight. And Hotel Tonight will be in charge of determining the rate for those. That is what I'm aware of. And the other thing will be kind of interesting that the other thing we call dynamic pricing, that will be the future trend in the hotel industry, will be based on not the room rate, not the room type, but on what you want to book. So we call it attribute pricing, that going forward in the very future, like a few decades from now, you're not booking by king room or twin room or ocean view room anymore. You're booking by attribute. You book in a room, do you want a bathtub? Do you want to have Apple cable? Do you want to have Netflix in the room? Additional attribute you put in there will be a different kind of pricing. So that will be the future of dynamic pricing in the industry. But for the time being, the room rate, we have a lot of different room rates. We probably have between 50 and 100 room rates for particular hotels, and it has been set a long time ago, and only being adjusted by the revenue manager every morning if necessary. But typically, if a room is at rack rate without promotion, the rack rate of a hotel is fixed at, let's say, $300. The only thing that the revenue manager change will probably be additional promotion on top of that.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And then I guess another good question, I think, would be just simply, what are the main tools that you use on a daily basis?
So I worked for two different departments in the hotel industry, which is the finance department and the sales analytics. At finance, we use Hyperion mainly to extract the data and do analysis in Excel. So that was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we mainly use Excel, and of course, because the corporate level, we use a lot of VBA in order to automate the data and reporting. So that, and then our Excel, we typically have an add-in by Hyperion. We call S-Base add-in, which basically allow an analyst to basically log in with the credential and then enter a particular data connection they want to connect to. So there are different kind of data cube. You enter credential to the cube of data that you have access to, and enter all the metric in there, like revenue, like particular hotel name, and then enter refresh. Then the data will pop up. That was using Hyperion S-Base, which is an add-in. I also use some other program, for example, IBM Cognos, which is more popular on the sales and revenue management side, because they have the better ability to refresh data cube on a daily basis. So that's the IBM Cognos. However, the Cognos cube have the issue of having a limit in terms of size. I think the maximum is some certain gigabyte of data of the data cube. So we are running into issues that as the hotel company is growing by acquisition, we're having more hotels, we have more data, we have issue of data cube being too small. And now we have to move from a data cube to a cloud system. It can basically handle a bigger amount of data.
Perfect. Awesome. And then another question that we get a lot is essentially just if someone is looking to break into data, what would be one just quick suggestion that you would have for them if they want to make a move and shift into a more data-centered role?
Can you clarify the question?
Yeah, so like if you were talking to someone that wanted to move into a more data-centered role, so like an analytics background or an analytics role, what would you say would be a good suggestion for something that they should focus on to do better in that role?
Okay, it's funny because I started to break in and I thought, oh, cybersecurity. So to break into the role and do a lot of data analysis, it really depends on which department, which direction of career you want to be in. So if you want to purely work with data, I would recommend working for the business intelligence department or the e-commerce department. That's where BI is being used a lot. So you will be using a lot of funnel analysis, using a lot of Outreach, a lot of Tableau. So that'll be a BI. And the BI department at corporate level normally will be outsourced into a different department within the company. So sometimes you will be helping out other departments. So you don't always work on the same kind of data day in, day out. Sometimes you'll be helping out the finance department to be building a new dashboard, or HR department to be building a new turnover analysis, things like that. So BI will be a good start. Next one will be e-commerce, will be another big start as well. Or you can go to digital marketing. That would be a good choice as well. I would say in terms of data, the e-commerce side of hotels industry, they have more jobs and have more interesting projects to work on, e-commerce and BI, compared to any other department like branding, like finance, and HR.
Perfect. Well, hey, thank you very much, Jade. We really appreciate you being here. And again, this was a very enlightening conversation and talk, and we appreciate you taking the time. So thank you very much again. And I assume that people can find you on LinkedIn if they want to ask you any other questions more directly.
Definitely. Feel free to do so. I actually do have a lot of mentee from the hotel school back in my college. And I do help them with navigating around the hospitality industry. So currently, I would say we're currently having hiring freeze due to COVID-19. So the job openings will be very limited. But at the same time, since I have a really big network, if I cannot tell you which companies in Chicago are looking, I can tell you in other markets in the country to look into if you want to start a career with the industry. But one thing I can tell you is that with 10 years working for the hotel industry, that we are all a group of hotel leads. That's what we call hotel employees. We hotel leads are very supportive. We're very helpful. If you need something, you reach out to us. We cannot help you right now. We can point you to someone that can help you out. So that is something that I definitely can guarantee. You would love working with hotel people. Hotel leads are the best. So.
Perfect. Well, hey, thanks again. And, thanks everyone else for coming. Definitely check us out at promotable.io. Our upcoming classes are posted on there. And any new classes will be posted regularly. And then make sure to like and subscribe on the social media platforms and definitely on LinkedIn as well. So thanks again.
Okay, bye.
Bye.